everyone. Welcome to Special Conversations. I'm Laura Sims, and I'm so excited to have my dear friend and the multi-talented South Orange resident, Kim Kassnove, with me here today. Kim is going to talk about getting ourselves out of a rut, and even if you're not in one now, you will be at some point, sorry. So it will be useful no matter what stage of your experience you're in. And Kim has life coached me several times, and so I can guarantee that she's really good. So this will be great. I'm just going to tell you a little bit about Kim first. She's the founder and CEO of Kim Kassnove Coaching, a private executive and human development coaching business that focuses on humanizing the workplace and supporting individuals to transform their lives. She creates and leads workshops that aim to cultivate mindfulness and transform mindsets in service of new possibilities. She is a CTI trained and certified CPCC and PCC coach. What does that mean?
What is that? Oh gosh. It means that I've done a lot of coaching.
Okay.
And the International Coaching Federation recognizes me as a certain level of
certified, like high level
certified.
coach. Great.
I'm very fancy. That's what it is.
Very fancy good. Kim has lived many lives before this one. In a former life, she was the founding chief talent officer at a public charter school network based in New York City. And prior to that, she held various roles in the education world, from the classroom to the boardroom, for over 20 years. She also has experience in the theater world. She's a mixed media artist, visual artist, and she's the author of the blog Quick While the Kids Are Sleeping, which is hilarious, a blog about parenting. And Kim, Kim is going to do a little workshop with you all first, and then she and I will talk, and you can ask questions too. So take it away, Kim.
Thank you, Laura. And thank you all for coming out. Like Laura said, no, it's totally, yeah,
Okay.
We'll do it in the round. It'll feel more like a circle.
Okay.
Like Laura mentioned, if you're not stuck now, you certainly will be. It's a really natural thing that happens when we grow and we develop and our life circumstances changes, and we have to make decisions about what lays ahead for us. So this workshop will just give you a really easy framework to work with when you're feeling that feeling of like, I don't know what I want next, or I don't know what's next for me and I have to figure it out. I'll tell you a very short story about myself. When I was about 38, I was just feeling kind of meh. I didn't have anything that was really sort of lighting a fire for me. I didn't really feel motivated by my work. My kids were doing fine. I wasn't ever the mom who obsessed over every kid thing that was going on or wanted to do carpooling. So I was kind of like, is this it? Is this all that life sort of has to offer me right now? And serendipitously, I got an email from D&I, which is a local gym, and they were running a running club. Like Laura mentioned, my background is theater. I was not an athlete. I was not a sports kid. Exercise was really foreign to me, but for some reason, I signed up for the running club. And I went from never running a mile in my life to running a half marathon by training with that group.
How long did you train?
So before the half marathon, yeah. I ran a 9-mile race before the half, and that was about 3 months of training and pretty intensive commitment to running and just trying this new activity. And then once I did that 9-miler, I was like, what's 13? So I went on and did a half-mile marathon, and it just taught me the power of the word yes. And the power of the phrase, why not? And in this exercise, I just want you all to really conceptualize what would happen if you said yes to things that your brain usually tells you is not for you. So if there's something that you're like, oh, I always wish I could, today let's practice saying yes. Let's practice saying why not, and go from there. Is that a commitment we can all make just for now, just for this hour? When you leave here, you can do whatever you want, but just for right now. Yeah? Okay. Great. So I have, like I mentioned, I have a little framework for you, and I was a former teacher, so chart paper is my my addiction. So there are just 5 things to keep in mind when you're feeling stuck. And I'm gonna ask you guys today to really think about a circumstance where you're feeling a little bit stuck, whether it's what am I gonna do next professionally? Is my relationship, my romantic relationship, the right relationship? How I want to be in a romantic relationship? My creativity is stifled. I feel like I want to do more exercise, but I don't know what comes next. I really want you to think today, what is that circumstance for you right now? It'll be different for everyone in the room. You don't have to share, but just in your mind, start thinking about that. And so the framework I want to offer you is a pretty simple one. These are some surefire ways to get out of your own way and to get unstuck. The first thing is change your environment. So how many of you have ever done work in a particular place in your home and one day you're just like, I can't sit here anymore. This wall is plaguing me. So when you get to that point where that wall is plaguing you, a surefire way to like change that energy, change that flow, what do you do? What do you do when that wall is plaguing you? I'll tell you what I do. What, say that again?
Leave the room.
Leave the room.
Get it out of my mind, yeah.
So maybe it's putting that activity aside and going somewhere else. What else might you do if you have to get this thing done? You
Go
have
to work at the library.
Go to work at the library, right? You change your physical location. Another thing you can do is take a trip. Drive
Do what?
yourself, take a trip.
I do.
Drive yourself to the beach, go to a park, maybe go on vacation. These new environments, these new inputs will allow you to move through that thing that has you stuck. It will give you new ideas, feed you new energy, you'll see new things, and it will open up your mind to those possibilities. Break your routine. What does everyone have for breakfast every single day?
Usually eggs.
Eggs,
Coffee.
coffee, what else?
Eggs.
Eggs.
Expensive lunch,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it is expensive now.
Very fancy with our eggs, I know, right now, it's challenging. So we are all creatures of habit. We are creatures of routine, right? You wake up, you make your coffee, you make your eggs, day starts. What would happen if you had a banana instead? What would happen if you didn't have coffee and you had tea? What else could you change in that morning routine that might just shake up your day a little bit so you experience the newness of like what else is possible here? So there are little changes like what's for breakfast, but then there are also big changes like how do you get to work, right? If you travel for work out of the house, you could bike, you could walk, you could run, you could take a bus, you could take your car. There are so many different ways to shake up your routine in big and small ways that will help you to move through where you are feeling. Maybe like you're on that hamster wheel. Seek inspiration. So has anyone read or done The Artist Way?
Yes.
So artist date.
Yeah.
Can you share a little bit about what the artist date is?
Sure. So my understanding is that you make a pact with yourself to take yourself out to enjoy someone else's artwork. So it allows you to leave your space and to engage with someone else's creation
Yes.
for inspiration.
Someone else's creation for inspiration. And I'll add on to that, an artist date is just the seeking of something beautiful, seeking of something creative, right? So it's going out and actively saying, I'm gonna go look at something beautiful today. So Mitch and I got memberships to the Whitney. And so we now can like go to that museum whenever we're feeling like we wanna look at something really cool. And you don't necessarily have to make a financial investment. It could be as simple as, I'm gonna go look at every mural in South Orange and Orange today. I'm gonna go just walk the streets and see beautiful artwork. But those creative inputs and seeking that beauty in the world will help to rewire your brain to really see like, what is possible around you? What does creation look like around me? Number 4, seek support. So, everyone needs help. There is not a single human on this planet that can do the work of humaning alone. And so that can look a ton of different ways. I'm a life coach, so obviously I'm a big believer in supporting people through their personal, professional challenges. Therapists, I am a big believer and participant in therapy. I think therapy is some of the most beautiful work you can do on this planet. But there are other ways to seek out support. You can join groups. You can join collectives. You can try to find people who have the same shared interest as you and do things alongside of them. What are some other ways that you all seek support when you're feeling stuck or you're feeling like you just want to talk to someone and figure some stuff out? What are some ways outside of therapy, coaching, support groups, creative groups?
Call your friends.
Calling friends, calling family.
Yeah, calling friends, calling family, picking up that phone and saying, can you help me think through this? Like, what do you think I should do? I often tell my clients, we all have stories in our heads about who we are, what we are capable of, why we suck, or why we're great at something. And I always tell my clients when they come to me with their stories, who told you that story? Like, where did you hear that? Because the story that I have about you sounds different. And I bet the story your friends have about you is different. So seeking help allows you to get out of your own stories and into maybe somebody else's story about you, which is most likely much kinder than the story you have about yourself. We all have these ways of telling ourselves stories about what is wrong with us and why we can't or what is limiting about us, whereas the people around us often see something very different than the story we tell ourselves. The other thing, so I run groups for writers who are resistant to the process of writing. Basically, you sign on to my group, I get you in the seat for 2 hours, and you write. It's a simple way to just say, this is my time to do the thing I promised myself I would do. I want you to just keep that framework in mind as we get into your challenges, because number 5 is action. That's like the most important part of getting unstuck. It's taking that first step forward. And so today we are going to name what our stuckness is, and we're going to commit to taking some action. Even if the thing that you promise yourself you're going to do is, instead of eating eggs tomorrow, I'm going to have Cheerios, right? Making a commitment to just getting yourself into action in some new way using this framework is going to change your level of stuckness tomorrow. Any questions or comments about what I have up there? Anything that you're curious about? No, we're good? Okay, I have a big question for you then. Big question, where are you stuck? We're just gonna get into it. Where are you stuck or in the muck? So maybe you're not completely stuck. Maybe you're feeling a little stuck, and that would be the muck, right? Or maybe you're completely stuck. You're like, I have no idea what I'm going to do in any one of these areas. So what I have up here is around a personal, professional, relationship, or creative passion work. Where are you feeling most stuck? And I want to give you just 30 seconds, 1 minute to think about it. All 4. Anyone else stuck in all 4? Anyone stuck in one? Personal, yeah. Most of all personal, yeah. Anyone
2 and
else?
4 for me.
2 and all,
2 and 4.
professional and creative.
Mhm.
Mhm. Anyone else want to share? You don't have to, but if you want to. Okay. Right. We're all at different places in our worlds. And at various points, this might shift, right? You might have 1 year or a couple months where like the personal stuff is on fire and you're just trying to figure out like, what do I do here? Or maybe it's a moment in your career where you're like, I've been doing this for 15 years and I'm really good at whatever it is that I do and I just need a change. Maybe it's a moment of retirement. Maybe you're winding down and trying to figure out what phase 2 looks like. There are all of these moments in our life where this balance sort of shifts. So does everyone have something to play with today, even if it's not perfect? Great. Okay. So here's what I'm going to ask you to do now, and we have little scraps of paper for you all. So thinking about that issue, I have 3 questions for you, or 4 questions for you to answer using this framework. So what are you going to do about it? Right? You have this thing that you're stuck in. What are you willing to commit to in a month around this issue? What action, what steps are you willing to take to get yourself in a new place in 1 month? How about in a week? What are you willing to do in a week to get yourself unstuck from this circumstance? How about tomorrow? What are you willing to do tomorrow? And the most audacious thing I'm going to ask you to do tonight is commit to something right now. And when I think about right now, it's putting an appointment in your calendar to do something about it. It's texting a friend to say, hey, I want to talk to you about something, can we make time? It's looking up the phone number of the place you're going to call where they have the classes that you've always wanted to take the class. We're actually going to take some time as soon as you brainstorm to take an action right now, okay? So I'm going to give you 4 minutes to answer these 4 questions, and then I'm going to give you 1 minute to do the action. Any questions for me? Okay. So I'll just narrate over you while you're writing. Remember, your action in a month can be much bigger, much grander than your action tomorrow. Or maybe you're ready to rip the Band-Aid off of something. Maybe you're ready to jump out of that airplane, pull that parachute. It doesn't necessarily follow logic. What are you feeling courageous enough to do tomorrow? It's 4 minutes. So do you all have 4 actions that you are committing to yourself that you will do in service of getting unstuck? How y'all feeling about
The problem is sticking to
that? Yeah,
I could
So
put it on paper and a
here's-
half, but getting it into action. is
getting
the
into
hard.
action.
That's the most challenging.
And that's why we're gonna take our first step right now.
How about get out of bed on time?
It's great, yeah. We all have different levels of stuckness. And there have been times this year that I was having a hard time getting out of bed on time. And that has everything to do with what your circumstance is, what's going on in your world. This is not about adhering to some unrealistic expectation. It's about moving from where you are, right? From your starting point. So let's all take the action that we are going to take right now. If you need to get out your phone to make an appointment with yourself, if you need to get out your phone to text a friend, if you need to look up that number, whatever it is you committed to on your paper to do right now, let's take a minute to do it.
I'm doing mine. Mine is
You
not
don't even
looking
have
at
to.
my phone.
Not looking at
Only
your
looking
phone.
at my phone during downtime.
What
so-
Nice. Yeah,
That was my
great.
owl.
So you're building a practice of being a little less connected to the digital world. Awesome. Teach me.
I sit at my computer one day a week.
What, you said it.
When everybody sends me emails, hey, you gotta tell me I'm not gonna sit till Friday. That's my only time.
Beautiful.
That's it.
Love that. Strong boundary.
I was on the airplane. I went to Phoenix, Arizona, and then I flew back to Newark. It's 4 hours and 30 some odd minutes.
Yeah.
I was on the aisle seat. The man in the middle, I don't know what his kind of namaste he had going on. Literally, no music, no book. He sat there the entire time.
Just
And he
stared
wasn't
at it.
asleep?
I didn't see him sleep.
I still.
It's amazing. It's amazing. Yeah, when we get into those situations, we realize how
I
like
can't.
connected and distracted we are by our phones.
I would prefer a book. I would prefer
Something.
music on. I would.
Oh my God.
I know, the
It's
silence
really
is
easy,
hard.
just-
The silence is really hard. That's great. So did everyone take their action?
No, I spoke instead.
Okay, go ahead. I'm gonna give you 30 seconds. Take your action. For those of us who were able to complete our action, how do you feel having accomplished something in, I don't know, we've been talking only for about 20 minutes.
Good, right.
You ready?
Yeah.
Great.
Baby steps, but to me, baby steps just not enough.
What would be, for you, what would be enough? What would feel like enough?
Getting the entire test done on time.
Getting the entire task done on time. In your mind, do you have a deadline for that task? What is it?
But get my home spring cleaned by the end of the month.
By the end of the month, spring cleaned. So are you open to sharing what your immediate action was?
Let me see. Every room needs attention, to maybe one room every day.
One room every day. And so what are you going to do tomorrow?
Have things, donate, keep, toss.
So tomorrow is your donate, keep,
Keep and
toss
toss.
day. And are you doing your whole house or are you just doing one room?
One room at a time. The whole house needs it, but one room a day.
Okay, so tomorrow, what room are you focused on with donate, keep, tossed?
My master bedroom.
Your master bedroom. Amazing. So by the end of the day tomorrow, your master bedroom will be donate, keep, tossed, ready. It
Yeah.
will be done.
There's a little hint here. The state Ohio
Yeah,
only handle it once. That's it, you
Only
pick it
handle-
up,
yeah.
but that's it, do
Oh, I
not
read
handle
that.
it again.
I read that
Yes,
somewhere. too.
absolutely. So donate, keep, toss, don't touch it again. And then when are you gonna get all of that stuff out of your house?
Oh, God.
When does the donation truck come?
That's the appointment I have to set.
Do it right now. Set that appointment right now.
Unless I have thought about just bringing things over to Goodwill myself.
Which would you prefer, donation truck or bringing it yourself? What makes it easiest and what makes your goal accomplished?
Probably bringing it,
Bringing it.
yeah,
Great, so when are you gonna bring it?
1 month from today.
1 month from today. So in your calendar, put that date in your calendar. 1 month from today, you're bringing all of your donation bags to Goodwill,
That would be June 11th.
June 11th.
That's a Sunday, so we do Monday.
So you do Monday. Beautiful. Hi, welcome.
Hi.
Great to have you here. Great. Would anybody else like to share what they either did right now, what their big question is? Anybody want to contribute? No pressure, but if you're open.
I said my job,
Your job.
yes.
Yeah, what's going on?
Well, I've been working out of school. I've been there for 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
I'm working as a paraprofessional, so I'm one-to-one with the child with staff. And I do sign language, that's what my passion is.
Beautiful.
Thank you. But now this student is in the young adult program. I'm looking at 1 year remaining for her. She'll be graduating. I'm already feeling fed up a little bit. She's too dependent, I want to say, on me.
Mm.
She looks at me at every single moment, even if the teacher is right there.
Yeah. So what's the stickiness for you? What are you feeling stuck around?
Do I stay the next year or do I leave already?
And in that question, do I stay for this 1 year and
Yeah.
see this student through? Or do I leave after that? What would help you make that decision? What do you need to make that decision?
I didn't talk to the teacher yet. I feel like that would be the next best step.
So when are you going to talk to the teacher?
We have morning meetings on Wednesdays.
So next Wednesday?
Wednesday.
Did you put that in your calendar?
I did not.
Will you do that right now? And will you also text that teacher and say, I'd really like to talk to you next Wednesday, so they have an idea of maybe what's coming?
And that's funny, I started a text to him. I said, oh no, it's 6 o'clock. He doesn't want to hear from me in the evening. I said, maybe I'll send it in the morning.
Great. Will you commit to doing that?
Sure.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Wonderful. That's an exciting challenge. All right. Anyone else want to share? Or are we ready to tie it up? Okay. What are some of the challenges with seeing these actions through? I heard, I just want this done. I just want this thing done, over with. I want to rip that Band-Aid off. What are some other challenges with seeing this through?
Interruptions,
Interruptions, say more.
appointments.
Appointments, yeah. Like you have a life to live amidst this goal of wanting to clear out your house, right? So how will you prioritize that? What do you need in order to make that the priority for you?
Try to do morning appointments when I come home, that's it, the rest of the day.
So schedule your appointments in a way where you can really clear the decks for this thing. Great. What else gets in the way?
I'm nervous.
You're nervous. Yeah. What are the nerves?
That being here right now, I already know the people. I already know what to expect. I don't need to send out resumes or, I don't need to pay fees to take tests or anything.
Yeah, help me to understand if this is true. You're already in the system, you already know the people who will give you your next job. So what are the nerves? What's making you nervous?
That, oh gosh, a different school requires a different test, or what if they use a different sign language
Oh, I see.
regionally, or,
I see. So changing your context, what I'm hearing you say on a sort of bigger global picture is like the unknown.
yeah.
You don't know what lies ahead, and so oftentimes we do stay stuck because of that ambiguity. What will my life be like if I take this big, bold, brave new step? So how will you get support with that? Like, which one of these strategies can you use around nerves?
Change my environment maybe, if I go to the different deaf events, if I test the waters.
Yeah,
I have friends in different places, I can ask them.
yeah. So get into those other contexts, see with your own eyes, like, is the story I'm telling myself true? What do I need to learn about this? Yeah, great. What else gets in the way?
Well, let me share.
Great.
When you were talking, because I came in, I said, I'm not really stuck on anything. But when you mentioned running a half marathon, the other day I saw a friend, a neighbor, and he said, have you run any races lately? And I said, no, I haven't done it in a long time. And he did tell me the name of gave me a website,
Yeah.
which I just tried now, but that didn't work. So I gotta find you and say, so that'd be the first step, is to get the correct name of the website.
Awesome.
Find, I'm only gonna do 5K,
That's great.
yeah.
No.
5K.
Only, you're
No,
only a
not my
5K
own,
is
I will do a
somebody's,
5K.
oh my gosh, I
Yeah.
just did a 5K.
And sign
Yeah.
up for it and then show up for it and do it. I know I can do a
Awesome.
5K, because I do the turkey trot.
Yeah.
And Dee and I finally went back to the turkey
Right.
trots, and I did it in November. So.
Awesome. So your first step is to contact that.
A friend who told me
friend.
about it, yeah.
So I'm just gonna point to number 4, right? Seek support. That's asking for the help that you need in order to get unstuck and get into motion around this
Mhm.
activity.
So I
Awesome.
walk every day, but that's good. you
It's
know.
great.
It's great. And
It's
I changed
awesome.
my route, so it's not the same thing all the time.
Change your
But I
environment.
haven't done
Break your
I
routine.
haven't done a 5K.
So I want to just point out, you started by saying, I'm not really stuck. And part of that is because you are doing a lot of the things that already exist in this framework, right? You're actively working that by taking new routes. You're changing your environment, you're breaking your routine, you're seeking inspiration. You're getting support.
And I got oatmeal, no eggs.
You need oatmeal and not eggs. Great, maybe tomorrow it's eggs. Great, anyone else before we close out?
I was gonna add on to the fear, you said talking about fear of the unknown. I also think there's fear of failure or fear of just a big challenge that sort of keeps us from starting.
Yeah, so that risk,
Yeah.
right? Like, what if I don't accomplish the thing I want to accomplish? What
Exactly.
happens then?
Right.
So what I want you to imagine right now, everybody in your individual situation, something I love to ask my clients is, what's the worst thing that can happen? So think about your particular circumstance. What is the worst thing that happens if this doesn't come to be? Is anybody's face going to melt off? Probably not. Will there be blight across the land? No. Will alien overlords come down from the skies and take over the planet? Really, like, what's the worst thing that happens?
Probably the worst thing that could happen is that you criticize yourself.
Yeah.
Self-judgment.
Right, it fuels that self-judgment, but really, you are not going to do any harm to anyone by trying a thing that you care about, or trying to do something that feels really challenging. You might do that self-harm, that self-negative talk, but again, you have seek support as a tool in your toolbox. Part of failure is saying to someone else, I'm really embarrassed, or I'm really mad at myself, or that didn't go the way I wanted it to. I'm never doing that again, or I want to try again, I want to do it differently next time. Failure is actually the way that we grow and we learn and we make adjustments. I don't believe that anyone in this room can ever say that they've never failed at anything. I hope that you have failed at many things, because that means that you've taken risks, you've tried new things, you've gone big. I fail on a daily basis. My today's failure is I've gone down a rabbit hole on social media about a pop culture item that nobody cares about except me. That's my failure for today. And really, I'm not hurting anyone other than myself. I'm doing this. So no, taking those risks, stepping out of your comfort zone, yeah, you might fail. You might not get your house fully clean by June 11th. Worst thing that happens is you bring the bags on June 15th, right? The sky is not going to fall. if
Some
that
progress is
happens.
better than none.
Exactly. We don't want perfection to be the enemy of good.
Can I ask you, when you did
Yes.
the half marathon, did you have in your mind how you would come in, maybe not first, but certainly not last?
Oh no, I wanted to not die. My goal was to not have death by the end of it. I really, for me, it was the simple act of doing it, of training for it,
Or finishing it.
of finishing it,
Yeah.
of saying I was gonna do it and then doing it. And my time was good. I feel really proud
Wow.
of my time. I think I ran 9-minute miles or something like
Wow.
that. But that was after months and months and months of running miles and miles and miles every day so that I could do it. Ask me how many miles I ran this year.
Marathon?
0. I've run 0 miles this year. So that was my goal. That was my goal then. I have different ambitions and goals now. But I do work this framework very regularly. And it is, I still get stuck. And there are still moments when I don't know what to do, but I do know that there are ways to come out of those moments, and that it's not hopeless because I have resources and I have creativity. And so I want you all to know that that's true for you too. You are creative, you are resourceful, you are whole, and you are capable of making great changes in your own lives if you want to. So that is what I have for today. That's my offering, and I would love to stay in touch. I do run workshops regularly, and I work with individuals and teams of people. So if ever you want to reach out to me, this is the way to grab me. And if you want to see my social media black hole, you can follow me at Instagram at Kim Kassnove Coaching. Did I spell that? Yeah, I spelled that right.
That's fine.
And that's the way to sort of keep up with my day-to-day. But you can also join my mailing list on my website if you'd like to. I write a monthly newsletter that has tips like this in it often, and where you can also learn about my different offerings and what's going on in my world. So thank you so much, and thank you for committing to taking brave, bold steps right now and tomorrow and onward.
Thank you, Kim. That was awesome. I just have a few questions for you, and people can chime in as we're talking, or you can wait a few minutes and ask your questions at the very end. But I know you've taken big professional leaps, as you can hear in your bio, and that has taken a lot of courage and determination. And I was wondering if you could talk about, so you spent 20 years in education.
Yeah.
And so what was that journey for you like, from being in education to becoming like a coach, self-employed, all of that? What was that like for you? How did you come to
You
it?
worked in public school?
I did, yeah. I started as a public school teacher in New York City. I worked in Brooklyn as a 7th grade language arts teacher, and I was a teaching fellow, which is an alternative route program. So my plan was never to be a teacher. My plan was to be a very famous actress. And then what ended up happening was I was a bartender, like most young people who start out wanting to be actresses. And as much fun as I was having in my early 20s, I moved to New York, and then 4 weeks later, 9/11 happened. So I had a real sort of awakening moment very, very early on in my career where it felt very important to me for my life to have meaning. And so working in classrooms and in schools in New York City really fulfilled that desire for me to have a lot of meaning. Bartending did not sort of check that box. So that was how that decision happened. And I would say that every career move I've made has in some ways followed that same, like, how do I provide the most service, utilizing the skills and the interests and the curiosities that I have right now. And that's maybe an oversimplification, but I've always had a very strong intuition, and I've always had a really strong sense of when it was time for the next thing. And so that has really guided my career progression. But I started my business about 3 years ago, right when the pandemic hit.
Great timing.
Perfect timing. And in some ways it was, because we were home and a lot of my work is virtual, and so it didn't really matter that I wasn't going out in the world and meeting people. However, that decision came from a place where I know that I like variety, I like new things, I like creating things, I like being my own boss and just calling the shots. And so starting my own business just made sense. And so that's how that decision ultimately happened.
And why do you think that coaching has become so prevalent in the last, I don't know if it's like 10 years or more, but 5 to 10?
You know, it used to be a thing where if you told people you were a coach, they were like, ew, what is that? Why do I think it's become prevalent? I think there have been a couple of really great articles about coaching that has likened it to, you know, sports coaching or mentorship or, you know, different industries sort of adopting this model of having someone standing next to you to make you the best version of what you are. And I think the workplace has become a very lonely, particularly leadership in the workplace has become a very lonely, isolating sort of echo chamber. And so I think coaches are a really perfect solution for that, because coaches are confidential. So anything you tell a coach, unless it is harm, you know, causes harm to yourself or harm to others, stays between you and the coach. So if you are working in a really complicated, sort of challenging work environment, a coach is there to hold that with you and hold that for you and push you around new ways of navigating. They sort of are the eyes, they are your eyes and ears in a way that you can't be for yourself in many ways. True for life coaching. The people who come to me for more of that one-on-one sort of, what do I do with this relationship or my life purpose? It's a confidential conversation. I'm not a therapist. I don't look backwards. I don't look at the root causes of why you are where you are. I just meet you where you are right now and say, I believe that this is, we develop a construct of we believe this is possible for you. And so I bring a person from where they are to where they want to be, as opposed to a therapist who says, okay, let's go backwards so we understand how you got here. And there's a real value for both. I think for many people, coaching feels much more practical.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
And it seems like it's really perfect now with remote work. I mean, both life coaching and, you know, work coaching.
Yeah.
Because people are more isolated now than ever.
It's real.
Yeah.
It's real. And, you know, I think when you spend so much time in your four walls and with your people and with your animal, you sort of lose sight of like the big and beautiful world that exists around you and the unbelievable possibility that is available. So that's what coaches do. You know, I really do push my clients, where is that? Oh, here it is. To seek inspiration, right? To say like, yeah, this is what you know, but how do you think they do it over in Alabama? Like, they're not doing it that way there. So go find out about that, get curious, right? Really seek out other ways of doing and being. And I think isolation has played a significant piece in like why people are coming to coaches to sort of build out that bigger context for themselves.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And how do you, in such a kind of a crowded field of coaches, how do you stand out? Like, how do you reach people?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Do you have any ideas?
That's a great idea.
You know, I think there's a coach for everything.
Yeah.
There are spiritual coaches, there are business coaches, financial coaches, health coaches, there are coaches for everything. So part of how I stand out is by being who I am. When I was 8, we had like VHS recorders, and my cousin at Thanksgiving was interviewing me and all of my cousins, and he was like, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I was like, I want people to pay me to be me. And I feel like that's what I do. People come to coaches who they feel that connection with, who they feel drawn to, and who they feel like they can hand over their precious dreams to, and they'll hold them with confidence, with clarity, with certainty, and that you are the person that can shepherd them into the next phase of whatever it is. And there are certain things that I can do that a financial coach might not be able to, but there are certain things a financial coach can do that I absolutely, don't laugh, that I absolutely cannot do. Because I have a theory that money is readily available to everyone who wants it.
Grows on trees.
I don't think it grows on trees, but I do think you can say, money, come to me, and it does. So if you want to
You need a
coach.
financial coach.
Right. So people who are attracted to a certain coach's ethos and skill set, frankly, will go in that direction. So what I try to do is put myself in the places where I think people who want what I have to offer are. This room being one of them. I also, you know, tailor my messaging to be explicitly in my voice and in my philosophy and my brand. And
Yeah, you do a great job of that.
thank you.
You do. You do.
Thank you.
So you're a writer and an artist
Yes.
too. So how do you balance all of those things?
That's a good question. There are times when certain practices aren't as solid as other times. For example, my writing practice right now is the face. Do you see the face that she just gave me? My writing practice isn't as solid as I want it to be, and honestly, if I was to get really honest with myself, that's a place where I'm stuck right now. So I liken it to surfing. Like, you just are sort of on top of a surfboard and you ride the waves and you let it sort of carry you where you want it to. But there are times when you really need to control the surfboard and like get into that wave and go to the place you want to go. So That's the best analogy I can offer right now for my coaching, my art creation, and my writing. And I also, there are no models. There aren't many models. There are a few people who call themselves multi-passionate entrepreneurs, and I would put myself into that category. But there aren't like how-tos on that. And so I do feel like every day is sort of a creation of its own. I have a calendar, I have appointments, I have clients that are scheduled, and I also have time blocks where I do my craft and I write and I paint and create. And then there are times when I mom and partner and do all of those other things too. So it's flexible, and sometimes it goes really well and sometimes it's not going as well as I want it to be.
Right.
Yeah.
Great, thank you. Does anyone have questions for Kim?
When you have a client, do you go to their home, or they come to where you are, or in a neutral place?
Yeah, so because of the way that technology supports coaching, it's mostly virtual. So I do
okay.
most of my client calls over Zoom.
Zoom, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank
There are there have been times when I've done in-person coaching, and that honestly, there's nothing better than getting in a room with people. I also run workshops like this a lot, and those are typically live, though I do virtual workshops as well.
What's the largest group that you've?
So the largest group, I've spoken to very large rooms before, hundreds of people, but it's more of a talk. Whereas my coaching, it's really important that everyone's voice can be heard and there's a space for everyone to share and to engage. So I try to keep those groups really intimate, and usually 15 is the max on that. Though there are some worlds where like a room of 30 is totally doable, with some partnering and sharing and yeah.
Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Such a good question. Well, I just had my tarot cards read in New Orleans, and they said,
That's where to get your tarot cards
you
read.
think that's hysterical? She was really out there. She made me look totally.
She talked very fast.
She talked really fast and only had great things to say
Yes.
about where I'm gonna be in 5 years. Where am I gonna be in 5 years? Oh my gosh, that is such a great question. Here's what I hope. I hope that I'm able to finish the draft of the manuscript that I wrote, and that it becomes a book on people's bookshelves. I'd like to go on to write more books that are maybe a little more self-help facing and personal journey facing. I can also see there are virtual courses that a lot of coaches are creating, and I have one sort of playing out in my mind that I could see being a really, really helpful tool for people in the workforce who are new to management. I think one of the drums that I'm banging right now is people often get put into positions of leadership without learning how to be a team leader or manage other people. And I think there's a way to teach that virtually that's really engaging and fun and interactive, where people build a toolkit of what it means to be a great leader. So that's a thing that I'm playing around with. So in 5 years, I hope that's like a multi-million-dollar idea, and I'm, the face
Doing your TED
behind
Talk.
young leaders in the
Yes.
country, doing my TED Talk, exactly.
That's a good one, because there are many people that get into positions of leadership and have no idea what they're doing.
Yeah.
And so the people under them are annoyed.
Mhm. Yeah, it's becoming a really big problem in the workforce.
We
Young
can't find
people are
people
leaving, that's it, that's it. And people leave their jobs or don't take their jobs because they don't trust or like the person who would be their boss. And so if that's true, how do we create likable leaders? How do we create people who you want to contribute with and work for and grow under? Because the young folks who are coming up are entrepreneurial. They're all going to start their own businesses. There's gonna be a real challenge in industry if we don't sort of fix that middle piece. So that's where my head is. I'm really sort of fascinated about workforce development work and I feel like I can contribute there.
Yeah, that's great. Last question? Thank you so much, Kim.
Thank
That was
you.
wonderful.
Thank you everyone for coming. That's great to meet you all.
And just so you know, in 2 weeks, we have another special conversation with Scott Gurian, who is a world traveler, and he hosts and produces a podcast called Far From Home. So he's gonna share, and he's been all over the world, and he is going to basically share his travel adventures here. So it should be really interesting. There are flyers over there. If you'd like to sign up for my email list, there's an actual sign-up sheet over there without a pen, but I'll get you one. And oh, thank you. And I just email once a month, so I'm not like spamming you. But thank you all for coming.
I have a Zoom meeting